Hello everybody, how are you all doing? I hope you're all well. In today's video we are gonna quickly talk about my Game Week 14 team, see how many points I got, and then we are gonna focus on the Game Week 15 and Game Week 16. So with the World Cup in the horizon, we basically have 2 more Game Weeks left until the break for the World Cup. So we are gonna focus on those 2 game weeks, and we're gonna look at some transfer options for those 2 weeks, and firstly for my team and then in general. So yes, that's the plan for today. Please, if you enjoyed the video, please leave a like on it, it would mean a lot to me. Now let's just quickly go to Game Week 14. As you can see, for Game Week 14 my team got a total of 76 points. It was a very high scoring game week, possibly one of, if not the highest scoring game week so far. So the average points for this game week was 59. So my team got above the average score and with gaming rank of 1.3 million. I only did 1 transfer, so no hits taken for this game week. My transfer was Luke Shaw in for Doherty from Spurs. In the last video I mentioned that my plan was to transfer in Diogo Dalot, but at the last moment I changed my mind and went for Shaw, because basically the reason for that was that Diogo Dalot was or still is on 4 yellow cards, so he is 1 yellow card away from a 1 game suspension. So I didn't want to risk getting a yellow card from him and then I would basically have to do the same transfer as soon as I got him in to transfer him out, so I didn't want to risk that, and I ended up with Shaw in my team. Diogo Dalot got the 3 bonus points from that game week, so he got 9 points and Shaw only got 6. But who knows, maybe in the next 2 game weeks maybe Shaw will get some attacking return, and we will see if that was a mistake or if that was a good choice. Now, as you can see, the rest of my team in the defense, I got a full clean sheet from every player, so Man City, Arsenal, Crystal Palace, Man United and Newcastle all got clean sheets in this game week, and Kieran Trippier was the only player in my team to get more than one return, so he got a clean sheet and an assist for this game week. And other than that, my attacking players, Martinelli, he got a goal in his game against Nottingham Forest. I was expecting more from him because the goal was in the 4th minute, and with Arsenal scoring 5 goals, I was expecting at least another assist or a goal, but that was the only thing I got from him in this game week. He played 60 minutes, so was taken off early, which is a good sign for the upcoming 2 game weeks. And my captain, Kevin De Bruyne, he had an amazing goal from a free kick against Leicester. Leicester defended very good in that game. I was impressed, but in the end De Bruyne's class won Man City the game, and Man City really struggled offensively without Halland in their team, and the only 4 players to blank for me this game weeks were the 2 Fulham players, from which I expected a lot, but they just couldn't break down Everton, and then Firmino, that is a player I'm looking to transfer out, and then James Maddison, who got on from my bench instead of Halland. So my overall rank at the moment is 200,000 in the world. And if we take a look at my game week history so far this season, we can actually see that since game week 3 I have had only one red arrow. After that, all the other game weeks have been green arrows for me. Now you can look at this two ways. Basically, it is either that I have made some good transfers, I have played the game correctly, and my rank has constantly risen, or you can say that I just had a slow start to the season, and it was easy for my team to constantly rise in places because I was 3 million at the start. So I personally choose to believe the first part, but I guess we will see until the end of the season. Now, as I already said, my aim for the next two game weeks is to get into the top 100k until the World Cup begins. So that's 100,000 places in the next two game weeks. It's going to be hard, but I think I could achieve that because my team is good at the moment. I like the way it looks. It has some differential players in it, and if it all goes to plan, I will hopefully be in the top 100k, and then after the World Cup I can focus on getting into the top 10k. Now let's go to game week 15 and see how my team looks. So this is currently my team for game week 15. As you can see, I still have no transfers made. I have one free transfer for this game week, and I know a lot of people went for early transfers for game week 15, so getting a Newcastle attacker early before the price rises. So Callum Wilson is the popular choice, with a lot of people getting Almiron as well. I was considering doing that as well, but with Champions League and Europa League's game coming up, and the fact that World Cup is so close that players are going to miss out games for the smallest of injuries just to not risk missing the World Cup, I feel like I have to save my transfer until the last moment, until Saturday, to get all the possible news that I can for players potentially missing, so that I can make the best transfer then. So I'm not gonna go for early transfers this game week. Already, if I was going to transfer in Callum Wilson probably when he was 7.3, but now he's 7.5, so there is no point in that. So yes, my team for game week 15, I'm happy with most of the players. So Madison and Bowen are two players that I benched for game week 14 because they had bad fixtures, but I didn't want to transfer them out because I fancy both of them for the upcoming two game weeks. I think they have good fixtures. Bowen plays Palace and Leicester both at home, and James Madison plays 2 away games, but Leicester tend to score a lot of goals away from home. So that's the reason why I kept them both, and I'm happy to play them in the next two game weeks. Man City, they play Fulham at home in this game week, and that's the easiest game for them in my opinion. So Halland at the moment, he's still flagged. He obviously missed game week 14 through injury, and it's still unknown whether or not he's going to be fit for this game week. The last thing I read yesterday was that Pep basically said that the reason why he missed Game Week 14 was because he had a foot injury, plus he was ill and felt tired. So since then he's been he's not ill anymore, and so that problem is solved, but his foot injury still remains. So I'm going to pay close attention during the week to see if he trains with his team. I know he's gonna miss the Champions League game, in which by the way, I expect De Bruyne and Cancelo also to be rested in that game. But I'm gonna look to see if he trains with his team, and hopefully I will get some information before the Game 15 deadline of whether or not Halland is going to play. If I think that he is going to start in that game, I am going to captain him most likely. If I have the information that he is going to be on the bench and possibly get on in the last 30 minutes or something like that, then my captaincy will remain on De Bruyne instead, and I will have him in my team. Now the interesting thing is, if he possibly misses this game fully again, then it becomes interesting to maybe consider transferring him out, because he is expensive. He holds a lot of funds, and basically on my bench for this game week I won't have any good player. So as you can see on my first bench, I have Alexander Mitrovic, who plays Man City away, so I don't fancy any points from him or any other player on my bench for this game week. So if Halland does miss out completely, then I might consider transferring him out for someone else. But the problem with that is that if he's back for Game Week 16, I will want to have him back in my team as soon as possible, so I will just end up missing out on value, because I got him in when he was 11.5. So that's a situation to keep an eye on, and I will see how that develops during the week. Now the rest of the team I am happy with. The only player that I feel like I don't want to be in my team, and I feel like it was a mistake getting him in, that player is Roberto Firmino. So basically I got him in for the Nottingham Forest game, and the reason for my transfer was that obviously with Luis Diaz and Diogo Jota getting injured for Liverpool, his place basically got nailed. So I thought that the front three was going to be Nunez, Firmino and Salah, all three playing off each other, and that's why I got Firmino in my team. But unfortunately, looking at the Liverpool games, Liverpool actually play something like a 4-4-2 at the moment, with Nunez and Salah being the two strikers, and Firmino, even though he is on the field, he basically plays like a midfielder, like a creator. I suppose it would be something like a number 10 or a number 8 on the field. So he's very deep and he doesn't get a lot of chances. And I have to be honest, I was considering just saving him until the World Cup, because these two fixtures are good for Liverpool. Tottenham away is not a hard fixture to score in. Tottenham are not very good defensively, and Southampton at home obviously is a great game, but with his place on the field, I feel like it's a waste to have him. It's a waste of a spot. I don't expect him to get any returns for me whatsoever. And yes, so he is the player I'm considering of transferring out for this game week. Now let's look at some of the options for him. So keep in mind we only have to look at the next two fixtures. So if we go at the forwards, so there are three possible attackers to replace him for the next two game weeks. One could possibly be Gabriel Jesus, so he's 8 million. He had a great game week against Nottingham Forest, assisting 2 goals. The problem with Gabriel Jesus for me is the fact that the next two games for Arsenal are away from home, and Chelsea away and Wolves away are two fixtures in which I don't expect there to be lots of goals. So these are two teams that I believe have strong defenses. I know Chelsea conceded 4 goals against Brighton, but I think that was an one-off game. I don't think Chelsea have a bad defense like a lot of people say. I think they look good defensively. It was just one of those games, and I don't expect Arsenal to score lots of goals against them. And Wolves as well, they play very defensively. I don't give out many chances. So that's why Gabriel Jesus at the moment is a consideration for me, but I'm most likely not going to go for him. The other two players that could possibly be good options for the next two game weeks. One of them is obviously Callum Wilson. So a lot of people are getting him in already. Obviously he had an amazing game week, scoring 2 goals and assisting 2, and he also could have had a couple of more returns as well. So he had 4 shots in the box, he had 3 big chances also. He got a disallowed goal, and he also hit the post, so he could have scored even more. He is a possibly good option for the next two game weeks. Now I'm looking at this Chelsea game at home, and like I said, I don't actually think that Chelsea is an easy fixture like a lot of people say. I know Newcastle are in a great form, and they could win that game as well, but I expect that to be a low scoring game. And Southampton is away from home, and in away games you're never really sure how the home team will perform. So Callum Wilson is a high possibility for me to transfer in for this game week. I feel a little bit I wish I could have got him in when he was 7.3. So by the game week, by Saturday, he probably will rise again. He will be 7.6 or 7.7. So that's a lot of value lost. So I will see if I decide to go for him, or maybe another player that I'm looking at and I think could also be a good option for the next two game weeks. That player is Calvert-Lewin. The reason for that is basically he has 2 great fixtures, I believe. Now Leicester have improved defensively. Yes, they impressed against Man City, but with Leicester I noticed that actually they play good defensively when they are at home, but away from home they still concede a lot of goals. So if I take a look at Leicester's last couple of away games against Wolves, yes, fair enough, they kept a clean sheet, But actually, if we look at the stats, Wolves had 21 at goal attempts in that game. They had 4 shots on goal. So Wolves absolutely dominated Leicester in that game, but the problem is Wolves are an awful attacking team and they can score against anyone pretty much. And if we look at the other games, Leicester, they conceded 2 against Bournemouth, they conceded 6 against Spurs, 5 against Brighton, 2 against Chelsea. So those are the last couple of games for Leicester away from home. So I think they are a good defensive team when they play at home, but away from home they concede a lot of goals. So this is a easy fixture in my eyes, and Bournemouth away also is a very good fixture. They are a weak team, and plus their goalkeeper, their first choice goalkeeper, is potentially injured. So I can see Calvert-Lewin getting some returns in these 2 game weeks, and he's currently my number 1 transfer choice for this game week, instead of Roberto Firmino. So basically I am going to either keep Firmino, which looks very unlikely at the moment, or I'm going to transfer in Callum Wilson or Calvert-Lewin. Those are the transfers I'm thinking about for Game Week 15. And other than that, now let's focus on just in general. So that's my team, that's how my team will look like most likely. Now let's just talk about in general. So obviously, as you all know, Saka, he got injured in this game week, and he's most likely going to miss the next at least 1, maybe even 2 game weeks, because I don't think he will be risked because the World Cup is coming and he's gonna want to be 100% fit for the World Cup. So I expect him to miss at least Chelsea away and possibly even Wolves away. So for people considering transferring him out, there are a couple of good options in the midfield. So for the next 2 game weeks, obviously. So one obvious player that I'm just gonna quickly mention is, of course, possibly the best player in the league at the moment, Almiron. It's a huge mistake from me to not have him. I should have noticed his form and probably got him in my team around here, but I didn't get him in, and he keeps scoring goals and goals every game week. Whether or not that will stop, it's hard to say, but he could very well get another return in the next game week. In the game week 14 he had 2 shots in the box and he had 1 more big chance, so he looks very dangerous. He looks great on the eye test, and he could be a good option to have in your team. I will most likely get him in after the World Cup when you have unlimited transfers, but for now, like I said, I'm focusing on the forward players, and I'm happy with the midfielders that I have. Another option in the midfield is, for the next 2 game weeks, is Marcus Rashford from Man United. So obviously he had an amazing game against West Ham. He scored a great header and he is nailed in the team. Their coach loves him, and they have 2 easy away games against Aston Villa and Fulham. so I can definitely see some returns from him as well. I think playing away from home suits Man United because the teams open up and then have a lot of quick players up front. So Marcus Rashford could definitely be a good option in the next 2 game weeks. Hopefully he won't hurt me a lot not owning him. And the third option that could get a lot of points in the next 2 is Trossard from Brighton. He scored a goal against Chelsea and he had 6 shots in the box in that game, so on another day he could have had a lot more. Basically he played as a striker for Brighton in this game and he looked great, he looked very dangerous. The next 2 are potentially good games as well. I personally am looking at bringing him in my team for this game week, for game week 16. But if you're looking for a midfielder, getting him in for game week 15 could work as well. That's another great option to have in your team. So those are the 3 midfielders that impressed me and I think could be good. So yes, that's the transfers or transfer plans for the next 2 game weeks for me. I'm gonna be patient and wait for the European games and see all the team news. Luke Shaw, actually he could be a risk for this game. Basically Man United play a very important game against Real Sociedad on Thursday, so I expect him to play in that game, and then on Sunday he might get arrested and Malacia might start instead of him, but I guess that's the risk I was willing to take when I didn't transferring Diogo Dalot instead of him. And yes, that's pretty much it. Like I said, De Bruyne is going to remain my captain if I'm not sure how many minutes Halland will get, and if Halland starts he's going to be my captain. And yes, I believe I covered everything. Good luck to all of you in the upcoming game week. I hope my transfer suggestions will help you in your team and will help you boost your it will boost your rank, and hopefully you will get some green arrows as well. Good luck in the next fixture, and I will see you all for the Game Week 16 team preview. Thank you for watching and goodbye.